Dr. Mary Gardner with Lap of Love Veterinary Hospice, and I'm joined today by one of our wonderful grief counselors, Christiana. Hello, how are
Hi.
you? I am so excited to talk to you today because we have a wonderful service that you are a part of the team, and so many people don't know about it. Know what does it mean? When should they join it? Like, there's so many questions. And I think it's really important for everybody to know that we do have this service. So what group do you belong to?
So I am with the pet loss support team with Lap of Love. It's myself and my colleague Caitlin. We're grief coaches, and so we are pretty much here to support families all the way from the beginning in anticipatory grief till after they lose their fur babies. I mean, we have a bunch of different ways that we can support families, and we want to do it in the best way that works for the families that are going through this grief.
Now, before I ask my question, I want to say hi to everybody who's joining and to make sure that they put where they're from and if they've got an angel to let us know their angel's name. But so you said grief coach, and I might have said counselor. So I think I did a boo-boo there. What's the difference between a coach and a counselor?
So counselors are licensed by the state. And we want to be very honest. We are not here to be licensed counselors. If anybody feels like they need that professional help, we do have resources, and we're happy to give those resources to people. But we are here more on a companion support level to help give tools on how to go through grief and validate the emotions and help people recognize that a lot of what they're experiencing is really I don't want to say normal, but natural, because with grief, we tend to think that we're going crazy. But in reality, it's part of the grief process. And we're here to help validate that, support that, and give tools to help them get through their mourning.
Yeah. Now you mentioned something that is, I don't think everybody knows about or understands. And even myself have gone through it, is anticipatory grief, which I know is the grief before we actually say goodbye to our, family member, furrier skin, and people can start to have grief and stress and depression way before they even make the phone call to schedule. Maybe when they see the first gray muzzle, the gray hair on the muzzle start to appear, and there's a lot of ways that you can help them through that, right? Like, because it's nothing to be ashamed of. And
right.
And it's very common, right?
Yeah, it absolutely is. And that anticipatory grief is wrapped up with a lot of anxiety. People are experiencing a lot of anxiety with that anticipatory grief because it's like the feeling of just not knowing and knowing that you're going to have to say goodbye. And we have a specific anticipatory grief group every Friday. And that's just to be with, so that you can kind of chat with other people who are experiencing the same things as you and get some tools on how to really be present with your fur baby. Because with anticipatory grief, one of the hardest things is remaining present with your loved one, because we're so caught up in worrying and the future. So we really have some tools to help with that. And then, of course, our one-on-one sessions, it doesn't have to be for grief after you lose your fur baby. It can also be with grief for anticipatory grief as well.
Right. And so, Jennifer says that she was in denial. I'm with you. There's a big place called Denial Island, Jennifer, and I have been mayor of Denial Island myself. And it's understandable because, we never want to say goodbye. And it could be really very stressful beforehand. So, Christiana, you said that you've got Friday is the anticipatory grief session. So I think we have almost every weekday, a session, right? A virtual group pet loss support, correct?
Correct.
What time of day is it normally?
What kind of day is like the
I'm sorry, what time during the day normally is it?
So it varies.
Okay.
We try to offer them all the way like as early as 11 a.m. on some days, and then as late as 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on some days, just to try to work with everybody's schedule. We try to have a variety of times available so that people, in case they can't come to us on one day. Hopefully there's something else in our schedule where they can
Yeah.
meet with other people who are going through something similar that they're going through.
That's so important. So these virtual ones, it's a group, right? So about 12 or so people, all understanding, all supportive, all going through some stage of the process. And that's completely complimentary, correct? So no charge. And do families have to have used Lap of Love to join that?
Absolutely not. Our groups and all of our services are open to anybody who is going through this grief process, whether it be anticipatory or after the fact. It is open to anybody who feels like they can use that support. So you do not have to have used Lap of Love services. So a lot of people just find us online, and a lot of people are referred to us by their vet clinic or ER clinic. So however you find us, we're here to support you.
That's so good. So anybody listening, if you've got a friend that's going through the loss of a pet, that they could just send them. And we have Savina, who's in the background helping us out here. So maybe Savina, you could pop the link to the support group in the comment box. But it is on our website. It's in a couple of locations. So you can go to services, pet loss support. So now you mentioned some one-on-one sessions. How does that work?
Yeah, so the one-on-one sessions are by appointment only. We are offering them every single day of the week as well. They are $50 for 50 minutes, and that is more of a personalized support session, because in the groups, of course, everybody needs an opportunity to share. So it's not as, you don't quite have as much time to share or as much feedback from the coaches. So you get almost an hour with us of just listening, if you just need to vent, or, of course, helping you come up with tools of how to do that morning work, because, grief and mourning is work. It's not always easy to do. And it's not always intuitive. So we're here to kind of give tips on how to go through that morning activities, and validate and just give tools and support.
So you keep saying tools, which I love. So it's not just about listening and saying, I understand. You actually have things to help people. I don't want to say move past or move through, or I don't think that's the best word. It's just manage some of these emotions, right? Because it is something that you are present of, and it can be very overwhelming. So it's great that it's not just an ear. You're actually giving tools. Now that one-on-one, I think there is a small fee for that, correct?
Yeah, it's $50 for 50 minutes.
So that's really good. So that's good if somebody wants a one-on-one, maybe a more shy and doesn't want to be a part of the group, and also just maybe more specific issues that they're going through, that you can give them specific tools for their grief. Now I know there's this 6-week curriculum. That seems like a lot. What is this 6-week curriculum?
Yes, I love doing the 6-week curriculum. So it's a group pretty much format. We meet for 6 weeks for 1 hour for 6 weeks. The first part of the hour is going to be more of an educational format, where we kind of teach about the difference between grief and mourning. Grief is what we experience on the inside. Mourning is what we do with our grief to get through.
So hold on. That's a very important part. You were just skipping right over that, Christiana, really fast.
Yeah.
I need you to pause on this.
Okay.
What is grief?
Grief is the experience that we go through in loss. It's all of the feelings and thoughts that we experience after we have faced a loss.
Sadness, madness, anxiety, denial,
anger.
Okay. And then mourning is?
Mourning is what we do with our grief. It's our grief gone public.
So I'm trying to think of me going on
lighting
Facebook.
A candle every morning.
Okay, lighting a candle.
We're at breakfast time, when the first thing you wake up, we're reminded, oh my goodness, they're not there anymore to give them breakfast. So you can still dedicate that time to them. You can still light a candle every morning when you wake up during what used to be breakfast time. That is
that
morning. Yeah.
So I, in my book that I wrote, I have a section or a chapter that's that the silence is so deafening. Right? Because we're used to hearing their panting or their meow or their, nails on the ground, and we just don't have that anymore. And the first morning that you don't have to feed them, or the first night that you slept through, because so many of us, and I say this from experience, have not slept through a night. And then you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh. And I'm going to throw myself under the bus here. Like, I actually felt relief that I slept through the night the first time. And then I felt guilt that I felt relief. But I love that you could still do something with that time to remember them. And so that's awesome. Different ways so morning is the outward. What did you say? Because that was good. You're better at this.
What we do with our grief, it's our grief gone public.
So it's even like my little charm. I've got my little Bodhi charm on that's got his paw print in it and stuff like that.
You got it. That's exactly what it is.
I love it. So this, so I digressed. So this 6-week curriculum, you go over all of these things, and then, and you have like is there like 6 things? Like every week is a different topic, and that's so cool.
Every week is a new topic, and the first part of the course is going to be educational, and then it's a much smaller group than our daily groups. And then the second part is more of a support group format. So you get to know the same people over 6 weeks and really understand each other's stories and you know, kind of have that open space to share with what's going on. So it's kind of a 2-part format. One is educational, the other is support.
Okay. Susan said that she took the 6-week. Oh, there we go. It's on the screen, and she highly recommends it. So thank you, Susan. I'm so glad it was helpful for you. Now, you told me once that there is something called the 6 central needs of mourning. What is that?
Yeah, so that's something that we go over in our course as well. And the 6 central needs of mourning they're not stages. People tend to think they're stages. There's no right or wrong way for these to happen, but these are things that people need to go through in their mourning to get through their grief. We don't ever get over our grief. We can get through it, but we don't get over it. So these are just some steps that kind of need to be taken, like acknowledging the reality of a pet's death. That's a really big one. It's one of the hardest ones to do, and being gentle with yourself when you do it. Moving towards the pain of the loss, which is another really hard one. But, you know, we need to mourn to mend. We have to move towards that pain and allow ourselves to sit with it. Because if we don't let ourselves feel what we need to feel, it will be stagnant. And remain within us rather than allowing us to kind of move through that pain and those different waves of emotion. Another one is continue the relationship with the pet through memories. One of my favorite quotes is, God gave us memories so that we may have roses in December. So kind of, you know, and that's what we talk about, is creating memorials and ways to remember our fur babies. That's one thing that we'll go over in one of the courses in one of the weeks. Adjust your self-identity. So much of our identity is wrapped up in our pets. It's being a pet owner, being a dog owner, you know, it's part of our identity. It's how we see ourselves. So we really have to figure out how to readjust our identity now that we're not we'll always be the mama or the papa of our fur baby, but in a different way.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point that people don't realize. And with my girl Sam, who I let go over a year ago, and for those of you that are still grieving over a year, like, you're with me on that grief island. So it's not abnormal to take a while. Like, it's hard. But I had about 9 months of intensive care with Sam. She had a spinal lymphoma. And it was bringing her to chemo and bringing her to physical therapy and up all night, sleeping in the living room with her, and, you know, cleaning up her poop and cleaning up her pee and cleaning her up. And that, you know, like, it was constant. And I would do it. I would do it for 50 more years if I was given the chance, but then it's gone. And then what am I going to do with these 4 hours extra of my life? Right. It's such my identity, or like, oh, I used to pick her up at physical therapy at 5 o'clock. Now I don't need to. And it's, you know, now what? Like, it changes who you are. So that's so interesting. And, you know, you mentioned the 6 stages of grief. And I know that Dr. Kubler-Ross came up with that, but then and that's like and do not quote me on these stages, but it's like, you know, denial, grief, anger, you know, whatever. And she even said years later that stages isn't the best word that she should have used, because it isn't like linear. We don't go from anger to grief to, you know, whatever and we may not hit all of them, right? Like I personally didn't get the anger part of it. I got the sadness, right? I got denial, but I knew this was happening. So anyways, don't feel bad if you don't have all these. And there's also some people that are managing it where they're okay. They're okay. And that's not wrong either, right? So Malia, I hope I said your name. Oh, there we go. She wants to know how to sign up for the 6-week course.
I'm glad you asked. So you would just go to our website, lapoflove.com, and then under services, you would click on pet loss support. And when you scroll down, it's the first option. It's called the 6-week journey course. There's a link right there that you would just sign up. It is $149 for all 6 weeks altogether. If you ever have to miss a week, we will always send you the recording for that week. So you will have all 6 weeks recording, even if you're not able to make it.
Oh, that's so good. And I know there's a bunch of tools that you guys give because I've seen some of that and they're amazing. And how often do we do that? Like once a month or because it's 6 weeks. So
it's every week for 6 weeks.
And sorry. So let's say, Christiana, we start one the week of July 4th, let's say.
Okay.
And I missed out on the first session. Can I join another one soon after? Like, do we have them going concurrently?
Yeah, so we typically start the next one about 2 weeks after. And both Caitlin and I are doing 2 at a time. So we usually have about 4 going at a time.
Okay. Oh, that's so good. Okay. So I didn't want somebody to think, oh, I missed this one. I got to wait 5 more weeks to join the other one. It's probably a new one starting next week. And so both of you have got 2 going all the time.
Yep.
Okay. And you do the one-on-ones.
Yes, we do.
And you do the virtual group ones.
Yes, we do.
And it's different times throughout the week. Do we offer on the weekend?
We offer them on the weekends. We offer one-on-ones on the weekends, and we also offer our support groups on the weekends. And right now on Sundays, we're also Caitlin offers a children and family support group.
Ooh, tell me more.
This is for people who have kids who, you know, maybe want to just help support them. Their kids grieve too, and kids don't always grieve the same way adults grieve. Yeah. So if they are just, you know, looking for some support or, like I said, tools on helping their kids get through this grief and some ideas on how to do the mourning work together, because it really is work, but how to do that together as a family to honor our fur baby.
Oh, that's so good. And I don't know what the number is, but you guys have had like a lot of people use this wonderful service, like over 1,000. So I think I'm underplaying how many. So that's phenomenal. I think we've had it for almost 1.5 years or something like that. It's been so great. And is there a time frame that somebody, like if they've lost their pet 2 years ago, can they still join?
Absolutely. There is no timeline for grief. Yeah. And so you can join whenever you feel your heart is called to it. And it can be really helpful to be in the groups as well and to hear different people at different stages and different timelines, and to realize that, you know, it's okay. You know, like you said earlier, you're still struggling a year later with your fur baby, because what is a year compared to a lifetime that we spend with them? Right.
Right. Oh, so true. And listen, I have her little wheelchair here. I don't even know what to do with it, but I can't get rid of it just yet. And that's a big thing, is holding on to some things that still mean a lot to me. And it's, and that just helps me. So I'm reading some of these comments, and they're wonderful. Everybody's so sweet and giving support and love to the veterinarians that have helped them. And so I saw one for Dr. Laura Porta up in like the Michigan area. And I just want to run through, my eyeballs are going to scan it to see if there's any questions. So if anybody has any specific questions, I was watching throughout this. Janelle, she lost her baby 2 years ago. So it's the same feeling. I know. I lost my guy 4 years ago. I'm pointing to his little picture there that somebody painted for me, Allison. And it's, anytime I see a Doberman, I just melt, not in a good way. Yeah. I cry the house down, I always say. Oh, Jennifer, she attended the group for the first time yesterday, and it was wonderful. So thank you so much. Let's see. Oh, Ruth had Dr. Mary help. Not this Dr. Mary, probably a different Dr. Mary. So let's see. So I'm just checking to see if we didn't hit anything or missed anything. Susan, she wants to come work for us, Susan. I love it. And so Cheryl, hi Cheryl, she says, we also have anticipatory grief every other Saturday.
So I'm going to correct that. We have them every single Friday.
Every single Friday. Okay. See, things change. That's why I asked you, Christiana. I'm like, do we do on the weekend? So let's see. So Queen Bee, I have a kitten rescue in Naples, Florida. Good for you. I don't know if I pronounced your name, Queen Bee. Can I link? Yes, you may link to any of our resources for sure. Okay, so here's one from Catherine. We lost our pet 2 weeks ago. What indicators do we look for to consider, getting another pet? Do you have an answer? Because I have an answer too. Let's see what yours is.
Yeah, so that's a great question. And it's a really common question. I tend to just remind people that, like, you're not just missing a dog, you're not just missing a cat in your home, you're missing your pet. So that's one thing to keep in mind, that getting another pet is not going to fulfill that loss that you're experiencing. But when you think you're ready to open your heart up to another pet, I have a suggestion of going to a shelter, going to an adoption event, pet sitting, and going with the commitment of, I'm not going to adopt today, but going to gauge where your heart's at. If you go to this adoption event or you go to this shelter and you are full of joy and you're rejuvenated and you're happy and excited, then maybe you're ready for another pet. But if you go to this event and you feel yearning and loss and sadness, maybe you still need to go through your grief a little bit more before you're ready to open your heart up to a new fur baby in your home. So that's usually what my first go-to is. That's a very good advice, just to feel where it's kind of leading you, where your heart is leading you at these moments. And I think, Christiana, I think for me personally, is different for every pet that I've lost. And with Sam, it was a lot of work, right? So it was like 8 months or so of intensive work, and I needed a break. It was so much that I physically needed a break. And I also selfishly wanted to travel, wanted to do stuff, didn't want to have to end dinner early to go home and make sure she didn't poop all over the house, right? Like, this is, I'm telling you as reality, because this is what many of our friends listening are going through, right? And so I took some time off. And then it depends. Somehow for me, my little kitty cats just find their way into my house. And so, like, they find me, and I'm all for an old skinny wobbly cat. Just, all of a sudden I'm at the store and there's one, up for adoption, and I'm kind of a bit of a sucker for them. But, dogs are a bit more of a commitment for me. So I kind of wait also for the moment to move me. But I also like to adopt older pets. So usually I'll see one in need. But as you said, you're not just losing a pet, you're usually losing that one, and there'll never be a replacement. But we are losing a companion, another body in the house. And sometimes, like I said, the silence, we miss that. Mm-hmm. And we do want to hear their nails again, and we do want to hear panting and things, smelliness and stuff like that, right? So it's okay. Okay, yes, we felt guilty needing a break. No, girl, I needed a break for quite some time. Like, it's a lot. And I also, not just from the poop and all that stuff, but just the stress, right? So Kathy, I had so much stress of worry, of waiting, and I'm a doctor, I'm a hospice vet. And so, like, you think I'd have this under control. I'm a pet mom first. And that level of anxiety, being at a constant state of that stress for 8 months, it took a toll, and, arguing in the house and all of those things. So listen, I'm still a year out, and I'm still on a break. So. I tend to say it's so interesting that you say that, because caretaker burnout is a real thing. But there's a lot of people who I speak with, and we talk about how the responsibility has shifted, and they were all the time caretaker of this fur baby, and now the responsibility has shifted from their fur baby to themselves, and to give themselves what they need. And that can sometimes be harder than taking care of somebody else.
Right. Listen. Yes. I gained a lot of weight. You know, the hair wasn't I was definitely a hot mess for 8+ months. So I could still use a little work on myself. And, you know, I share that because I think there are, like, you know, Catherine, we're not alone in this, and feeling guilty. Cheryl says fostering can be a great way to gauge your readiness for a new baby. I am a foster failure, but it is a very good way, for sure. All right, if there's any other questions, pop them through here. Now, Christiana, did I not ask you something that you wanted to share that
I think we went over the basics, you know, like the services that we offer and then different groups that we offer. And of course, you know, however you find us, like we're here to support you. And right now we are available every day. It's just the two of us. So sometimes there might be a day where we're not, but we try to get back to you within 24 hours if you reach out to us. So we really do try to get back to everybody as soon as possible. And just that, yeah, just reach out to us. And if you can't figure out how to sign up online, you can always email us at petlawsupport@lapoflove.com, and we can send you direct links to sign up and all of the information and step-by-step tutorial on how to sign up.
Okay, perfect. I love it. And Susan says, if you're a foster failure, that means you're ready. So I think that's a good, and just because also you may get another pet doesn't mean that you may still need support going through the grief of the other one. So it's, you know, don't be shy or ashamed or something like that if you still need to help with, you know, going through the loss of the other, because they are not the same, and there'll never be another Duncan and another Sam and all my other ones that are waiting for me. And guided meditation is good. Yes, Susan, these are all great comments.
I also wanted to mention, you're so right about that, and that's like the beautiful thing of being human is like we are complex, and two things can be true. We can both be grieving and missing our loved one and open up our heart and make a new friend. Two things can be true at the same time. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
You're very smart, Christiana. I like that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today with me. I hope this was helpful for everybody else. Again, we've got all the information on the website. If you go to services, and our pet loss support area has got a ton of great content. And we have the free virtual groups, which is great, one-on-one for $50. And then that 6-week group or curriculum, which is less than $150. So it's so helpful. And we have a great team, and you're one of them. I'm so excited that we can help so many people. And again, remember, if you know anybody that is going through this, just share this information. They do not have to be a Lap of Love client of ours. They could be can they be in Canada? I think they can be in Canada.
Yeah, we have people who join us from all over the world.
All over the world. I love it. So one last question. Oh, I like Queen Bee had a cute little, there she is, her little thing. Jennifer says, any tips for helping other pets grieve, which is actually a thing. I have a chapter in my book. My book title is It's Never Long Enough, because it's never long enough, I think. And I have a whole chapter in there, but it goes over actually scientific studies that have been done. Not all pets grieve for their housemate. I've euthanized one pet, and the other one just walks on by and starts eating, and like they're, you know, and then others are mourning as well. And did you know, here's a cool scientific fact. Did you know that they've done studies on the sense, so the smelling sense, okay, that they took a number of dogs, trained them to sit in an MRI still, like, which is hard because we have to usually anesthetize them. And they put the smell of certain scents that they know. And they looked at the pleasure center of the brain. And the number one scent that triggered that pleasure center of the brain was their human caregiver. So if you ever board a pet, make sure you bring like your shirt that smells like you. And the other that lit up the pleasure center was the smell of their housemate. So having collars and beds and towels and things like that just around the other pet can actually be very, very helpful. And I worry mostly about the little ones that stop eating, like little dogs that stop eating and things like that. That's the number one common thing that we see is decrease of appetite, and it takes time, just like all of us, right? Oh, Catherine wants a link to my book. I don't know, Savina, if you could get that fast enough, but I'll see if I can beat you. So I want to thank you again. You've been so great. Look at, I'm going to be quick, Catherine, and get that for you. And
on it.
She beat me to it. She beat me to it. All right. Well, until next time, everybody, thank you so much. Love up on your gray muzzles. And if you've got angels up above, I'm sure they're watching down on you and sending their love. So thank you guys so much. And thank you, Christiana, for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.